if that particular group wants to be equal, then they get made fun of.
Equally take crap.
Equally take crap.
Welcome back to Under Oath. Top 5 comedians that inspired you the most.
This is a good one. This is
okay.
A good one.
So I'll go to you.
Okay. Number 1, I actually just met this gentleman after years of being a fan of his, or over 20 years, and he was the kindest, just welcoming person I ever met in my life.
Well, you're welcome. I appreciate
thank you,
that.
Jeff,
Oh,
for
no,
taking the time.
Okay.
No. Well, you're second on my list.
Okay.
I actually got to interview and meet a week ago Bruce, man. One of the funniest.
You got lucky. I was at Comic-Con. I didn't get to do that.
Yeah. On the planet. And so nice, so giving, and actually just invited us to come see him. We went out and we went in the back, the green room, so to speak, where the headliner gets to, rest before the show, and invited us to sit down. And we wanted just to be like, oh, thank you. And we were going to leave. Where are you going? I'm like, sir, we don't want to bother you before. He goes, man, I've been doing this for 35 years. I don't need to get ready or into my head before a show. I can do this standing on my head, man. Sit your butt down.
He doesn't have a procedure.
Doesn't have one.
Just walking out.
As funny as he is on stage, he's funnier behind the scenes. He just had us dying laughing the entire time. Bruce is an expert. He's been a legend, been doing this for years. Funny, gracious, and a good person, man. So shout out to Bruce.
This sucked. I had a trial.
No, you had a good trial. You were trying to help people who needed it.
Well, my number 1, but the number 2 today is Richard Pryor.
Okay.
I grew up.
Yeah, you did.
On Richard Pryor records.
Mm-hmm.
His movies, watching video of him. The thing about Richard Pryor is he crossed boundaries.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, completely crossed boundaries. And I mean, he had some help. I mean, there was Red Fox.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple guys who were
before him. Yeah.
But Richard Pryor, I think, just kicked open the door.
He did.
I mean, and he got away with what he got away with. But he got away with it. They weren't jokes. He would take these devastating moments of his life.
And he went through some stuff.
Like when
he went through some stuff.
He was freebasing cocaine.
Yes, he was.
And it blew up in his face.
Mm-hmm.
And he was running down the street, on fire. And I shouldn't laugh. That's not funny. You know why he's laughing?
Yeah.
Because he tells a story.
Yes, he did.
So funny.
Yeah.
You're going, who could go, hey, you know what'd be funny? Let's tell the story how I blew up a cocaine pipe in my face.
Yeah.
And it was funny, and I ran down the street. Every joke he told, no matter how mean, no matter how biting the situation was, you laughed. And it wasn't and here's the thing. There's uncomfortable laughter.
Yes.
That's not what he did.
Mm-mm.
He went past it where you weren't uncomfortable.
No.
Somehow he got rid of the uncomfortableness of a horrific story where you go, should I be laughing at this? You knew you should be laughing at it.
Mm-hmm.
Not once did you go, that's not funny. Now, that's what young comedians don't do. They put something controversial in.
Just for the sake of
just
it being.
Just the sense of it. Now, how more controversial is blowing up a pipe in your face? And he did the same when he talked about how black police officers treated him.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that, remember, police officers were they weren't on the table back then. You could make those jokes.
No.
But they were so funny.
He got away with it.
Richard Pryor is an inspiration to me because I can't tell you how many things in my own life I put in there that I said, oh, this is a terrible moment. This is a terrible thing, but I'm actually going to make it funny.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. The fact that something dark, something sad, something that's embarrassing to us, he gave us that green light. Yeah. Talk about it. Yeah. Real life is funnier than fiction. Lay it out
if it's funny. And I can't tell you, Dave and I have done this. I go in front of our producer every once in a while I don't have something, and I'll just start talking to Dave, and Dave is so deadpan about crap that if I can get him excited about it, then I know I could sell it on stage.
You can sell it on stage.
All right.
The next one I actually got to see live, which is a bucket listing for me, seeing this comedian. I want to meet him. I haven't talked to him yet. I've got to meet a lot of my comic heroes, but I got to see Chris Rock perform live.
I've seen him a couple times.
Bro.
Bigger and Blacker tour was amazing.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Yes, man.
Yeah.
Though his writing process, the way that he constructs a joke, it's funny, it's relatable, it's down here, but it's smart at the same time, if that makes any sense at all.
Well, you saw the documentary.
Yes. How he had every single joke written out on a card and laid out on a table, and it was massive.
Chris Rock.
Yeah, Chris Rock's
a beast.
Genius to me, bro.
I think the tough part about Chris Rock is a lot of what you love about him is his delivery.
Yeah.
And delivery, you and I both know, can be a one-trick pony.
Yeah, it could be.
Because people get bored of it like Dice Clay.
Yeah. But the difference between him and Dice is Chris can actually write. Chris is actually a great
I'm not
writer.
saying that Chris isn't a great writer. I'm just saying that when delivery is delivery, you're going, how many bits? Like, I've seen 3 of his Chris Rock's bits, and they were the 3 best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The last ones.
I like the last one. I'm sorry. I thought the last one was great.
I'm calling it the Kevin Hart effect.
What do you mean?
Too much Kevin when you're only doing one thing eventually runs its course.
I'm going to have to disagree.
Pauly Shore.
That I would agree with that. But I don't see that in Chris Rock.
I'm going to mine.
Okay.
Carlin. George Carlin.
You do talk a lot about him.
I've seen Carlin.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen Carlin on a tape or something else like that, you have not seen Carlin.
The live experience is different?
The live experience is a beast.
Okay.
He is ungodly offensive. I mean, he takes it. I've never seen a comedian take it that far, ever.
Really?
Ever.
What did I miss?
Ever.
Got it. It's
my mother-in-law wanted to go see him.
Okay.
My stepmother. And she goes, your father really wants to see Carlin. Could you get tickets? I know you're good at that. So I go, yeah, I took care of it. And I called the casino boss and I said, hey, listen, is there any way? He goes, I got you. I'm like, okay. So we were like the second table up. So he was like, I mean.
Ooh, y'all had great seats,
stupid
man.
seats.
You was right there.
And I told her, I said, listen, this is not going to be what you think it's going to be. And she goes, I've seen blue humor before.
Oh, she said the word blue. That lets me know.
That's when you know you know.
Yeah, yes.
He talked about that when, this was a bad joke. And for 5 minutes it went on. The joke was, and he's dead, so I'm not going to spoil it.
God rest his soul.
The joke was that when a young woman dies in her teens, you know how they take organs out?
Mm-hmm.
Can they take the hoo-ha and stick it in an older woman?
Jesus.
And he went off on this joke for 5 minutes. And I mean, therapy. It was so good. And his delivery was so perfect.
I know it was funny.
Everyone, and my dad tried not to laugh. And you could try not to laugh because it's the most offensive thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody in the room was, whatever feelings they had about that joke, it was so funny that we forgot our morality.
Okay, I was worried that your stepmom was like freaking out, but no, she was laughing.
She was hurting. She was like a little bit above that, but everybody in the room
got it.
But
that's a funny premise.
I mean, but it's not funny. It. Carlin could make Nazis funny.
Yeah, he could.
And could you imagine talking? He would actually make a joke about a gas chamber, and you would laugh.
And
that's how talented he was.
And that was the difference between him and Chris. Chris would make a joke Richard would make a joke about something dark. You're like, man, this is funny.
Yeah.
Carlin makes a joke. You're like, man, I know I shouldn't laugh.
I can't laugh.
This is funny.
Yes.
Yeah. A comedian that has truly inspired me. Also, is very difficult for me to talk about because some of the things he talks about hurts people that are close to me.
Unbelievably close.
Very close.
Down.
Yes.
The people immediately and down.
Right. And he's a genius. He's persevered. He's gone through so much crap. Dave Chappelle. I've seen him live. Another bucket list thing for me. I've been so blessed and lucky. I got to see Dave Chappelle perform.
We just saw it less than 8 months ago.
Yes. It was an amazing show.
Now here's the reason why it's not. He makes some jokes at the trans community's expense.
He does.
And James.
And here's where I'm at. I'm conflicted.
And one of your children.
As a comedian, I'm conflicted, and here's why. If we're comedians, we want to joke about any subject and make it funny because we take anything that's considered sad, dark, or taboo, and we joke about it.
Right.
And we make America look at it. We make you face it. If everyone wanted to be equal, I'm torn because if that particular group wants to be equal, then they get made fun of.
Equally take crap.
Equally take crap. Doesn't mean that we hate you. It doesn't mean that we think you're less than. It's just everybody gets a jab.
But you know what hurts your child.
Yes.
Let's be straightforward.
So then, that's where the other side comes from.
Like if somebody did autism jokes.
That's hard. That's
like when people use the word and I don't use it, but the N-word for me, the equivalent of the N-word is retard.
Yes. And I understand
when I hear that word, when anybody uses that word,
yes,
automatically they get a look from me.
Yes.
And I don't say it, but I automatically feel less of them. The same way if they drop the N-bomb.
Understood.
Or something else like that.
Understood.
And maybe they don't understand it. And I've seen people do that in their bits. And you and I have a problem.
Yes.
When it comes to comedy, what makes us upset the most is when somebody comes up to us after the show and they say, this joke offended me. And the first thing you and I say, but the joke about this didn't offend you.
Yeah.
And is it okay to be hypocritical when it applies to you? I think that's the definition of hypocrisy.
I was going to say, that's the very definition.
I don't think hypocrisy, that word wouldn't exist if we didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I get it.
But if I take it just on a surface level and say, hey, Dave Chappelle being a comedian, amazing. No one could deny the fact that the way his mind works and the way that he tells a joke from a different vantage point that you don't see coming, he's good at that. He's great at that, man. He's a great comedian. Delivery is amazing.
Delivery.
Takes his time, lets the audience come to him, doesn't rush, and just his wording for jokes are flawless, man. But yeah, there's parts of him that I really admire and I really like.
I think
and he's fearless. He is fearless.
I honestly believe he thinks he's at war with us. That he keeps doing it because he sees the unfairness.
Yes,
I
agree.
And I don't think he does it because he's going after the community.
No,
but then again, eventually you have to cut it loose.
Yes, you do.